Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. In this video today, we're going to be talking about some big TSM drama once again. No, we are not talking about the Reggie investigation stuff that we talked about yesterday. Even though there has been some new information coming out, there has been some new opinions and stuff that I actually do want to cover, and we'll probably make a follow-up video to the whole Reggie investigation later on this week. Today, we're talking about another very, very big TSM story. Obviously, one of the bigger stories of the LCS Spring Split was the whole Peter Zhang fallout. Obviously, there was the allegations that he was acting as like some kind of inside agent of TSM that would, he was a coach of TSM, but then he was also working with all these players in China, maybe being their agent, maybe facilitating some deals for them, maybe even going as far as potentially, making recommendations to TSM about who they should sign based on who was willing to work with him, which again would be pretty damning stuff. But hey, it was just all allegations. Peter Zhang denied everything. TSM obviously let him go and fired him, so they thought there was some smoke or fire or whatever going on there. But that's kind of all we've heard over the past couple of months since that story originally dropped. But today we have some big updates, some new big information to talk about surrounding that whole situation. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Definitely drop a like if you guys do enjoy this video. I would appreciate that so much. And subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. Help us run those numbers up. That would be absolutely insane. We're on that road to 11,000 subscribers, hopefully sometime in the near future. And you can help us get there by clicking that button. With that being said, let's get right into this. So here we have it. Reginald, he's on a spree of tweeting out some investigation results. It is kind of interesting. You go to his Twitter, you'll see that these two stories, the TSM investigation results and the Peter Zhang LOL team investigation results, were tweeted about an hour apart. I think some people are skeptical about the timing of both these stories coming out. Like, hey, is it coincidence that both these investigations ended on the same day? Obviously, if you put on your tinfoil hat, people will say, oh, Reggie is putting out both these investigations on the same day because if there's this big Peter Zhang news, it might take away from his own investigation. Hey, I don't know. That's very, very possible. But also, if you go to his Twitter, you see the Peter Zhang stuff. It's got this big, huge news article. There's Peter Zhang's face. There's all this stuff going on. It's this giant block. And then you see the TSM investigation results. It's a twit longer. It's just this little tiny blurb here. Hey, is this stuff just coincidence? Are we reading too far into this? I don't know, but this is definitely what some people are saying out there. But again, this story did come out an hour after Reggie decided to tweet out his own investigation results. But here it is, Peter Zhang, LOL team investigation results. I don't know why we're translating it. So there's the nice little translation by Google there for you as well, in case you couldn't read it. And here it is. The story from Dixerto. I really hate this website. I think this website is just absolute dog shit. I think that these are a bunch of ads and stuff. Obviously, I have the ad blocker on. I know there's ads on the site, on the side and stuff. I'm assuming this is a big ad on top, and that's why there's nothing here. But look, the ad is like half the page. Holy shit, you can't even see anything. It's just stupid, just terrible. I don't know. I hate coming to this website. But this is a report here and says, in March 2022, Dixerto report revealed that TSM had parted ways with League of Legends coach Peter Zhang after allegations of conflict of interest and financial irregularities. TSM now claimed it has been confirmed that Zhang diverted player salaries and withheld owed money amounting to over $300,000 following an internal investigation. This is big amounts of money. I mean, for anybody, this is big amounts of money, but especially when you're talking, most gamers / esports athletes or whatever, they're young, they're high teens, low to mid 20s. Obviously, a lot of them make very, very nice salaries, but also a lot of them are living in Los Angeles. A lot of them are losing a lot of money to taxes. A lot of them are probably living decently expensive lifestyles. Everyone has nice clothes. They're living in nice places. They're going to expensive restaurants, all this stuff. Like, I don't know, $300,000 is a lot of money. So this is crazy. I mean, obviously it's not in the millions or anything like that, but still, it's a big deal. Specifically, the claims were that Zhang was siphoning off money from player salaries for himself, as well as acting as a conduit for financial transfers between players and unspecified entities back in their native China. So obviously Peter Zhang had inside info of the players that TSM was looking at over in China, and then some of the allegations are that he would then reach out to those players and be like, "Hey man, I know TSM's interested in you. I can help you get on TSM. You want to work with me and potentially give me a cut of your salary and stuff." Kind of acting as an agent, kind of acting as a guy who, hey, I work for TSM. I can help you get on TSM. it's allegations, but hey, I don't know. I mean, I could see how that is at least believable. In addition to this, he had also kept money relating to the sale of an $80,000 car for one of TSM's high-profile signings, Sword Art, when they left the team. After repeated requests for repayment, Zhang grew desperate and started to ask players and colleagues for sizable sums of money, citing medical bills for his grandmother as a reason he had found himself in dire financial straits. This is something that Doublelift had talked about before, that Peter Zhang came to him asking for a big amount of money, saying it's for his grandma's like cancer treatment or cancer hospital bills or whatever, and Doublelift's saying that's a tough spot. Obviously, you're friends with Peter Zhang. You work with him. This is a guy who's been with TSM for years now. This is somebody you trust. And also, Doublelift and a lot of the people that work for TSM, play for TSM or whatever, they're wealthy people. $70,000, $80,000, whatever. Those are big amounts of money, but Doublelift, a multi-millionaire, somebody comes to you, one of your friends, somebody you know and trust, says, hey man, I really need some money from our grandma's cancer treatment. That's very hard to say no to. That is very, very tough, and that's a weird spot to be in because it's a large sum of money. You don't even know if he's telling the truth. You don't even know what the heck is going on. You don't know if you're going to get paid back. Like, that's a rough spot to be in. I don't know. So this is, again, what people are claiming, at least, some of the stuff Peter Zhang was doing. This is on top of being the conduit between the Chinese players and TSM, like a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. While Zhang acknowledged that he had kept the money from the car sale, vowing to pay it back, he denied that he was taking a cut of player salaries or had picked certain players for the roster to facilitate doing so. In a longer release just a few days after the initial report, he stated that I'm not a player agent and never took a cut. The part of the article that did not make any sense to me is where it said I was acting as a player agent, taking the money while them getting a spot on TSM. He added, anyone can check that I'm telling the truth by asking any of these players or any player I've ever worked with. I've never asked to be their agent to talk to TSM, and I've never taken part of their salary. They will all agree with me. With that, he returned to China, and his future remained unclear. He claimed he was going to say more. He claimed he was going to put out a big statement like right away. He ended up not doing that, and then, he pieced off out to China, pretty much caught the first flight back, and hasn't really been seen or heard from since by too many people in the League of Legends community. Also, another one of the claims and allegations of this whole thing is that Sword Art was mad that he, Sword Art had a car here. He went back, and then he asked Peter Zhang, hey, sell my car for me, send me the money. Peter Zhang said he was going to do that. He ends up keeping the money or whatever. And then some of this was that Sword Art got mad and was like, hey, send me my money now or I'm going public with this whole story. So that is potentially how some of this is coming out as well, at least parts of it. The TSM organization had stated it was their intention to investigate, and today we will see them publicly release their findings that claim they have multiple sources of evidence that will not only substantiate the original claims, but also reveal the extent of them. So this is where it gets spicy. After being retained to conduct their investigation on March 23rd, Simpson, Thatcher, and Bartlett LLP returned the findings last week and made the following claims. Mr. Zhang diverted a total of approximately $250,000 in salary payments from 2 TSM players to himself and third parties. Now, who are these players? We don't know for sure. Maybe your son, maybe Kaiduo, maybe Sword Art. Obviously, Shenyi says he was not involved in this. Shenyi said he did not have any relation with Peter Zhang. Who knows? We don't know for sure. Mr. Zhang agreed to sell a car on behalf of a player who was leaving the U.S. to return to Asia. The car sold for $80,000. The player never received the proceeds. Only after the player threatened to report Mr. Zhang to authorities did he receive a portion of the funds. Only $35,000. The $45,000 remains unpaid to Sword Art. That sucks. Again, not a small amount of money. And then here is a big one as well. Mr. Zhang attempted to borrow money from 8 TSM players and staff members, including players over whom he had managerial responsibility. He claimed these funds were needed to pay for, among other things, his grandmother's medical treatment. Zhang attempted to solicit amounts between $1,500 to approximately $22,000 per player. 2 players actually lent him a total of approximately $15,000, of which he has repaid $10,500, but obviously still owes $4,500 to these players. The company became aware of Mr. Zhang's solicitation for loans on around March 18th and took immediate action, including reversing several scheduled wired transfers. So they actually saved some players a bunch of money there. The company's prompt response, it prevented approximately $54,000 from being sent. Pretty crazy. In addition to this, it was the conclusion of the law firm that Zhang was not acting in the best interest of the organization. Their report stating that we observed evidence indicating other irregularities in connection with Mr. Zhang's role in recruiting players from China. In particular, certain recommendations Mr. Zhang made to TSM may have been motivated by personal gain, including connection with the salary diversion scheme discussed above, rather than recruiting the best players for the team. And this is the absolute worst case scenario. This was what I was the most afraid of, but I also think it is the spiciest allegation in this entire report. This means that, again, our worst fears are potentially coming true, at least being found by this investigation, that Peter Zhang went to TSM and was saying, hey, these players are pretty good. Hey, we should go after these guys. Hey, I think these guys would be a great addition to TSM. Not because they were actually the best players available, not because he was actually scouting them as necessarily the top players, but because they were players that he was working with, thought he could get a cut of, or that he was potentially going to make money or personal gain in other ways off of. And that is crazy. That is probably the worst part of this, because again, if you see some of the signings that TSM has made over the past couple of years, the contract to Sword Art, one of the worst in LCS history, probably the worst contract ever handed out in LCS history. The Kaido contract, an absolutely horrific one as well. And these have been really, really detrimental to the team of TSM. They've potentially lost them hundreds of thousands, like a ton of money off of, taking hits to their brand, not being able to make it to international events. Who knows how this affected sponsorship and fans and merch sales, all that stuff. Like them ending up with worse players so Peter ZHANG could benefit. If that is true, is so damning, is so detrimental to TSM, so detrimental to the LCS, and I just feel horrible for all the TSM staff members, coaches, other players, if they ended up with not the best roster possible, if they ended up with not the best opportunity to win and chances to win because somebody else said, hey, we should get this guy. And again, Peter ZHANG is a trusted coach. He's been with TSM for a while. His word, especially about Chinese players, was potentially going to be really, really good. Maybe he lied about how good they were. Maybe he lied about how good their communication skills were. Maybe he lied about how good of a fit he thought they would be with the team. There's so many things that could happen here, but that is the absolute bomb of it. Again, that potentially he was not acting in the best interest of the organization, and that potentially TSM acted off some of his recommendations or whatever. And that's crazy. And just thinking how this could have impacted TSM, their signings, their rosters, their results over the past couple of years, that's mind-blowing, and that is the craziest and spiciest part of this whole investigation. Now, on the other hand, I do think it's kind of interesting. We have these two investigations coming out, like I said, and in one, the Reggie investigation comes back, and it's like, oh, hey, Reggie was completely innocent of everything. Nothing bad happened in the world. Then you have the Peter ZHANG investigation where it's like, oh, yeah, he was guilty of everything. We found everything out. We dug deep. Like, it's just a little funny, a little juxtaposition going on. I don't know. Pretty hilarious, but that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. That is the latest you need to know about the whole Peter ZHANG investigation results. We'll have to see what happens next. At the very bottom, also, there was a little bit of spicy stuff, I guess. They said that a spokesperson for the organization has confirmed that the matter had been referred to the FBI for investigation. ZHANG has not been cooperating with the investigation. I don't know. Pretty crazy stuff, but definitely leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this whole story. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hope to catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.